Hair's crazy. Hey, good morning, everybody. So I slept in today. The reason why, man, I tell you, it was very aggressive this last weekend, and then yesterday was a little bit aggressive. And so my body finally caught up to the hormones and put my ass to sleep for a really good amount of time. And that's sometimes what has to happen, that you may not sleep really good on the weekend, and my husband thinks like it's the bed's fault and everything, and I'm like, no, the frequencies are really insane on the weekends, and it's not gonna matter if you already have pain in your body. Bed, couch, any place, is going to be uncomfortable if you already hold those issues inside. So the fact that a lot of companies suffer the bad reviews because someone has predisposed issues and they can't handle a bed, or they can't handle a couch, or they can't handle something else, a food, whatever, they suffer a bad review when really the person is the one that has that issue. Because my bed feels great. I mean, I don't have any. When I was having those muscle issues like my husband has right now, yeah, the bed sucked because I couldn't get comfortable. And sometimes you have to be in kind of a prone or lounging position to get to sleep if you have that, that many kind of issues. But on the weekends, when the frequencies are really, really insane, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to relax. And you'll be feeling everything. And so yesterday I felt a little residual, and there was some stuff going on yesterday, but today I slept in until about 8 o'clock and I feel good. I just had my coffee. It's snowing a little bit outside, but I don't feel too much frequency. But yeah, I did feel a lot of frequency in the afternoon. Okay, so we're looking at what's going on, like, on each of the coasts, and I did post some stuff about the storms, the named storms that are going to be coming through in 2023, the hurricanes, and they all have different names for it. Whether or not we get all the way to Whitney remains to be seen, but they already have future projections of what it'll turn into. Just assume it's going to be fucking bad. Assume everything at this point. That's why you have to rethink where you live, because when you know that hurricane season is between June and November, and it could happen earlier because you never know with all this climate change what's going to happen. It's like, do you want to be you really want to be just like at the tip, just walking on eggshells? And think about it. Do you really want to be surprised? You're like, well, I can't move. I can't afford to move. And can you really see a bunch of Floridians moving all the way up, inland? That's how many people live in Florida. I'm just going to use Florida as an example because it's going into hurricane season. Florida population. 21.78 million people in Florida. Can you imagine 21.78 million people in Florida coming up to the middle of the U.S., to the Midwest? Let's just say Ohio, for an example. The system believe me, the system is not going to alarm you with the confirmation of future projections. Everything's going to happen incrementally, so it chips away at the population. The frequencies chip away at the population. The storms chip away at the population. Everything's going on. You can't have just an all-out, devastation. Obviously, that'd be obvious and catastrophic, right? But you do a chipping away. It's like a slow boil. People will get the hint and they'll start potentially migrating north, but they have to be really aware that that's what's going on and pick up and move. And so everything is happening incrementally. Banks are collapsing incrementally. People are realizing that the coast and maybe California and different places are not a place to live. And so they start getting in their mind that they got to do things incrementally. Things are changing. Economy is changing. They have to change the way they do things incrementally. People don't just get up. They don't just rise up and just change. No, everything happens incrementally. And there are indicators. But if you turn off your indicators, you turn off your clarity of thought, you're under the influence all the time, you're not going to have the indicators. So you'll be thinking everything's a conspiracy or somebody is crazy and stupid. I'm telling you, people who are under the influence think those that are actually sober are stupid. That's what I've come to find out. That's who my haters are. They're under the influence of politics, religion, and science, and under the influence of cannabis. And I'm like, I'm feeling stuff and whatever, and and I'm releasing the demons, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and they're like, you're stupid, you're stupid. Okay, I'm stupid to those who are under the influence who don't feel anything. They're only reacting to whatever stimulus that they're paying attention to, whether it's me, whether it's the TV, whether it's something they see outside, or they're going and doing reviews on Facebook or doing reviews on Amazon about other people or other things, and they have something to say, but when it really comes down to it, biologically, they don't have any fucking indicators. So yeah, someone like me who is sober, who feels everything, like I did this weekend, and finally, I released some demons this morning, and yeah, I'm drinking coffee, but I feel the frequencies. I feel that shit. So, but someone, I guess, under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or some other shit will not feel it. And if they do feel it, they'll chalk it up to something else. Oh yeah, I strained my back on the weekend, or oh, I did this, or it's a predisposed issue, that. And you're just like, okay, whatever. But that's how they want to characterize their sickness. Oh, it's something in my genetic line. When I say the frequencies are freaking insane, they're like, oh no, you just have, cancer in your family, or you're about to get a stroke, Jillian, or you have this issue, Jillian, you have this disease. We love watching you fall apart on fucking Facebook. Okay. As you are cured under the influence, not paying attention to shit, as your body is deteriorating, that's the thing. When someone is sober, they will be crazy to those who are under the influence, which is why you just let people just think what they will think, because you can't penetrate that type of not being aware. See, when you're not aware, what is that called? You can't penetrate someone's unawareness, I guess. And that's really what the whole J world is about, is we're feeling stuff. People don't want to feel stuff, and they hate you for it. They hate feeling stuff because they have so much trauma in their body. And it's like, wow, it's a trip when you finally figure out. It took me like 6 years to figure out what the fuck I was selling. It took me 6 years to figure out what the hell I was selling to people, and why you can't make money off of this until people are ready to finally face their demons. And I'll tell you, 99.9% of people out there are not ready to face their demons. They're highly innovated, highly traumatized, under the influence, like all get out, and they're living in freaking cataclysmic prone areas. Oh yeah, I would be under the, if I had really no money, and I'm living somewhere in the tip of freaking Florida, which is really expensive. So if you live in the tip of Florida, like in Miami Beach, and you have a high-rise condo, you can afford to get the fuck out. But if I had no money and I was living in somewhere in the tip of Florida, and I knew that there was some shit going on, and whatever, I would have to be under the influence. I wouldn't want to face what Jillian is saying. Because it's just a matter of time when that next hurricane is going to wipe out and sink the tip of the peninsula. It's going to be a matter of time before something else goes on that you're going to have to weather with this kind of climate change. Yeah, I'd be under the influence too. But since I had a homing beacon to get the hell out of California, and I didn't know why, I knew I had to run away from a bunch of other shit that's going on in my life. But thank God those things happened, and all of that suffering happened in California for me to finally make my way across the U.S., but not all the way to New York, because that's really expensive. Not all the way to Florida, because that's actually expensive when you think about it. And so where was the place that I homed in on? It was Ohio. And then you come to find out Ohio is probably going to be the best place geographically. It's going to be the best place at this point, as far as the odds. Because I'm telling you, we can't predict the future, but every place is a gamble. But the odds are better in like Michigan, if you can handle all that snow, because that's a lot of snow, but Ohio, and maybe places around Ohio, but even then, southern Ohio has the tornadoes. Okay, so you even have to figure out where in Ohio is the best place and what you can handle. And so as far as geographical location, every place is a gamble, but which one has the better odds? And you'll have to figure out for yourself what odds you're willing to deal with and gamble with. And I'll tell you, 21 million people over there in Florida and 39 million people over there in California, they're not all going to pick up and leave. They're going to be chipped away incrementally. Some people are so trapped in their wealth, so trapped in their lifestyle, they're willing just to ride it out and see if they can survive it. But I'm telling you, again, that's the deer in headlights. That's the deer in headlights in people, is what they don't believe that this shit's gonna happen, even though it's written in the climate change documents. Even though it's written that, okay, 14 inches of the sea level is rising, you're seeing all this stuff go on. All right. Bye. Block. Freaking idiots that come through. But even though the sea levels are rising and everything, people don't want to face that. They don't want to face that. And so they'll stay stuck in a deer in headlights until the very end. And then they'll be like, hey, sayonara, it was great. Not really. I mean, they're recording all the devastation that's going on in California as far as up in the mountains and the 10 feet of snow that's going on. I mean, they're getting atmospheric rivers. When you think about how much snow is inundating an area, and then you get so much rain on top of that, that's chipping away at the terrain, the mountains. You're going to get mudslides. I mean, there's so much going on with all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I'll tell you, let's see, delete that, delete. Okay. Freaking trolls and their stupid herbal shit. But, so anyways, so I'm selling sobriety. Everything that comes with sobriety is feeling good, bad, and dealing with your shit as it comes, literally. And so you'll feel the frequencies, you'll respond correctly, you'll survive the fluctuations over time. And if you can survive the climate change, then when there's peace across the land, when you think about it, that's the immortal humans. There will be immortality in humans, because right now, the reason why there is a lot of mortality in humans is because they hold so many issues. They're on fucking herbal cures, like that one troll that came through trying to sell her herpes cure. And they are dealing with so much sickness inside that it just takes a climate change, and they don't want to feel the pain. They're adding more herbs to their body, more extracts, more detoxes, more oncology. They're not going to fucking survive. That's the mortality in humans, is they can't handle fucking pain. They're under the influence and they're on the herbal cures. That's mortality. When you can't fluctuate with the environment and you don't listen to indicators. And so right now, yeah, we're in a Georgia Guidestones scenario. This is a depopulation agenda, not because the system did it to you. You did it to yourself by buying into all of the cures and all the things. And I'll tell you, back in 2016, 2017, when I said, hey, you're supposed to feel the pain, and people are like, no, you're stupid, you're this, you're that. That was an opening to deal with something different. That was an opening to consider another thought process. But, oh, that's right, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not this. Science is looking at all the different arguments, because there isn't just one argument that's the only argument there is. There's a million ways to get to the same outcome or a different outcome. But you had to even introduce a different outcome. People didn't even want to deal with immortality. What the fuck does that mean, right? They've never seen it before. It's not written in the Bible text. It's not written in the John Hopkins Journal of whatever. It's not written in anything that they have seen in academia. No, academia supports the depopulation. Academia supports the dying and reproducing and using biotech to nip and tuck and do stuff for about a very short amount of time, and then you're gone after you've made somebody else money. Like those influencers, like the Kardashians, they were nipped and tucked and given all this, exposure and whatever else, and they use sex as a way to do that too, and so they're influencing people down the over the cliff, but they're only there temporarily. So they're influencing people temporarily. Oh yeah, buy my outfit and go get an herb or an extract and a plastic surgery and blips and Botox and all this other shit and wear my outfits and all. I mean, and then people follow them over the cliff and then they pass away. That's the depopulation. It is the temporary existence. And so people didn't understand my information because they're so used to being a temporary person. They're so used to take away their fucking pain. They're so used to being like under the influence. That's the issue right now with our societies. Everyone is so used to being under the influence. And then they want to go and party it out and they want to feel nothing and follow their hopes and dreams until their hopes and dreams are dashed because they can't handle a climate change like this. That's the depopulation, is when you have been given everything and then they fucking take it all away and you can't seem to transition. And so I'll tell you, man, it's pretty crazy. So I'm selling sobriety. Everything that comes with sobriety is feeling good, bad, and dealing with your shit as it comes, literally. You'll feel the frequencies, you'll respond to it correctly, and you'll survive the fluctuations over time. If you can survive this climate change, when there is peace across the land, you will be one of those who will be what you would call immortal. Because you will not take away the pain. So when there is like a season change, like between spring and winter, spring, and you're not taking allergy medication because there's that frequency change, you will be Be primed for the season changes. It's when you have 50 years of taking allergy medication every single time there's a season change, and taking cold and flu medication every single time there's cold and flu season. That's why people have cancer season, chronic illness. Because they're always trying to take away their pain, stopping their body from releasing. They don't want to feel mucus. They don't want to diarrhea if they have to. They don't want to blow their nose. They don't want to smell any weird smells coming from their armpits. And so they're always blocking up their lymph nodes with deodorant and antiperspirants. And so no wonder people are blocked up. You see these dogs that look like they're freaking little, like they're ticks. What do you mean? Like, because they're blowed up. When the dog has an issue and the owner doesn't know that they have to, they have to be able to open up the system, they close the system up and they have all these medications, so the dog just blows up and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then of course they have to go under surgery. The dog gets bigger and bigger and bigger until they can't handle that kind of weight because they've closed up their system. That's the thing with humans, is they closed up their system, and so they don't release the demons. Okay? And so the whole point of immortality is having an open system. And so in this climate change, when there's peace across the land, you'll be the one of those what you would call immortal, because you will not stop your body from releasing. You will not take all the remedies and the surgeries and the herbal extracts and the detoxes every single time the season changes. You will be able to handle climate change in its truest sense of what we've known as far as the seasons changing: winter, spring, summer, fall. Okay? And so what is infection? Infection is when you're around a lot of energy, like this weekend. Like this morning, I was releasing stuff out of my throat. It wasn't green. It was a tiny bit of yellow, because I knew that the frequencies are so insane. It was bringing up infection inside because it was causing replication. And that's why I felt the energy. You feel the energy. It's like you feel like you have to go do something. It's you feel the growth inside your body because it's the energy. There's growth going on. That's actual evolution, when you're feeling the energy from the frequencies. Okay? And so then your body, then you have to feed that energy. So then when you feed that energy, you're producing growth, which really you're actually lengthening your telomeres. Anything on top of that, any damage or evolution that happens, or any kind of things that you're holding inside, just anything excess, your body has to release through the poop, the pee, blowing your nose. That's why every morning I'm blowing my nose. So when I call my husband every morning, because he's on the road a lot, sometimes before I blow my nose, do all that stuff. And so as soon as I talk and everything else, the immune system is triggered. I'm blowing my nose. I'm like, oh God, honey, I got to blow my nose. And I knew from blowing my nose, I'll have to poop, I'll have to pee, I'll have to release all the demons, take a shower, all that stuff, and then have my day start. And that's why I wrote my book. This is what I do every single day, even when I'm sick. Yesterday, I actually, I made soup because the frequencies were so insane. I was like, okay, I don't really feel like eating cereal. And I know I ate a bunch of oatmeal on the weekend, which I don't usually eat a lot of oatmeal, but I ate oatmeal on the weekend. But I'm like, okay, I want to make some chicken soup. So I dumped a whole bunch of freaking salt in it. I had a little bit of pepper. And then I put in some cabbage and some carrots, which I froze, and some chicken thighs that I have also frozen, and a little bit of olive oil, I think, maybe not, I don't know. And then I just let that just simmer, and I drank it. Okay. And so sometimes just turning to something as simple as a salty soup. That's why I don't really do the top ramen, because I have freaking 100 pounds of freaking salt in my house, and I get butcher box, which I get chicken and other stuff, and all you gotta do is get some cabbage and some carrots and you have yourself a meal. Get some flour and some eggs. You can make dumplings, and so it's really simple. And if you need to acclimate to the atmosphere, you could also eat the processed food and it won't hurt you. But those that have issue with processed food, they're like, oh my God, it's so poison. They can't eat anything. They're all into the fucking organic shit. And so when the frequencies come around and new people or new microbes come into their world, they can't handle the fucking microbes. And they go into inflammation. They can't handle that. So they keep taking more herbs, more extracts, more surgeries, more oncology, and they become so even more behind the eight ball, more deficient. Oh, I'll tell you, right now, that's the depopulation agenda, is when you can't handle the changes and you're constantly under the influence of something. And so infections, when you're around energy and the body develops it either over time and you have an open wound and air gets to it, all the microbes from the air converges onto that opening. And so people can develop infections in the body and not know it, and then it turns into cancer. The reason why you develop infection, because you're not releasing. See, when your body's in pain, it's trying to release. People mischaracterize pain, and they take painkillers. They're like, okay, I'm going to do a little bit. Okay. But they take painkillers, it stops the body from releasing, they hold that infection aside. Eventually that infection will travel maybe away from the mouth or away from different places that they're in pain and go and settle somewhere else and metastasize. And so when you've taken painkillers for some kind of operation or something else over here, maybe 5 years ago, that infection traveled from there to somewhere else because it wasn't going to, obviously it's in danger over there because someone took a painkiller. And so the body's going to try to release it somewhere over there and then release, but then it's a pain over there. So the person stops the pain over there and stops it. So the body can't release it. So then it has no choice but to then deal with that foreign entity. That's where cancer disease and chronic illness comes from, is because a person does not want to feel the pain of release. The body's trying to push it out in different places. The person keeps doing whack-a-mole and takes an herb, an extract, a painkiller for every place where their body's trying to release, and then they're blowing up. Or they're aging exponentially. They are aging exponentially. And so, yeah, if you stop the pain here and there, the body says, okay, fine. They allow the foreign entity to stay in the body. The foreign entity fucking sucks the life out of that person. And then you see them look like the crypt keeper, or they're blowing up and there's so much life in them that the body can't handle that either. So that's the aging process, when you stop the body from releasing because of all of your practices being under the influence. And again, we have set people up so horribly that they don't have any recourse. If they were to actually be sober right now, they'd be in so much pain. And you can't force someone to be sober. You really can't, when they've been traumatized for so many fucking years in the medical and the holistic system. And so then you say, thank you for your service. You know you can't penetrate them. You know that they won't listen to your information. They'll think you're crazy. That's why I get so much pushback, because so many people are under the fucking influence because of so much trauma. They can't possibly be even a little bit sober. Sobriety is out of the question. And I've been sober most of my life. I've played around with, illicit, stupid shit very minimally. I'm not an alcoholic. Whenever I had gone through some major life event, I would cry it out. Or I'd go see a therapist and try to get through it, because I was raised, in therapy. So I used resources at my disposal at the time that is appropriate for me at the time. But I was never going to go on Prozac when I was trying to deal with my PMDD, when I went to Kaiser and paid $300 fucking a month to go to Kaiser and see if they could help me out because I was suffering so much. No, I'm not going to be under the influence. I said, I'll fucking suffer and deal with having 2 weeks of being awesome and kicking ass and taking names, and 2 weeks of being like, holy shit, trying to crawl out the freaking hole. And that was my life for many years. So that's why I had to go into different jobs that would give me that latitude to be sick for 2 fucking weeks and be like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. But that conditioned me to deal with pain. That conditioned me to handle suffering. That conditioned me to, even the people that thought I was stupid and thought I was lazy and thought I was this and thought I was that, let me tell you, I had everyone in California under the sun say all the shit they said, about some of, oh, you're lazy, you don't want to work, you're this, you're that, oh, you can't handle PMS. Oh, I'll tell you now, years later, as I have kicked all my issues and I've dealt with, and I know how to deal with all these frequencies, and they're now dealing with fucking cancer disease, chronic illness, autoimmune disorders under the influence on a constant basis. Their kids are now vegan and vegetarians, and they're so skinny, and they're like, and they've talked so much smack about me, and they're dealing with aging out and all this other stuff. I don't want to say I told you so, but it's a little bit of a vindication on my end that, yeah, there was a reason why I went through that bullshit, and you tell you that I was lazy and this and that. Now you're dealing with fucking cancer. Now you're dealing with an autoimmune disorder. Now you are under the freaking influence of drugs every day because you have to be, because you thought being cured was the thing to do, and then you wanted to go denigrate someone who had to deal with the fucking evolution. See, the tables have turned in climate change. You can only be so cured and under the influence for so long before it fucking bites you in the ass. And it's biting people in the ass right now. And so on this end of it, part of me is just like, it's not nice to gloat, but part of me is gloating. Because I suffered so much and you all were so fucking intolerant. Well, now you're getting the tables turned on you. Now the roles have reversed. How do you like that? But I don't throw it in your face because you're not listening to me. I know that. People who have made fun of me because of my freaking sickness from the PMDD and all that shit, they're not listening to me. Oh, absolutely fucking not, because they know I'm fucking right. But since they're so far gone, there's nothing they can do. So, so that's fine. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's lonely being right. I don't love being right, but now you understand what I went through. And now you understand that it's okay to be sick. Don't let someone else's politics beat you into submission. Because that's what's going on right now. You know, we have people who are like, oh, God, student loans. You don't got to pay your student loan. You got to do this, got to do that. Okay. At least we cost the economy money, but we're contributing to it. Those that cost the economy money by their drug addictions, their alcohol addictions, crashing their cars all over the place, going into rehab every so often, doing this, they've cost the economy money for some, and they some people don't even pay back that shit. But when someone gets a student loan and they want to educate themselves, that's a better costing the economy money than someone who's a fucking drug addict and alcoholic and other stuff costing their town money. So I don't want to hear anyone say, no, God, you got to pay your bills. You got to do, because I'll tell you, so many people out there have cheated on their taxes, done so many things to find loopholes, tax shelters. You know, I mean, there is nobody that's innocent out there. And so no one should be denigrating anyone for not paying their student loans or, you know, playing that high and mighty hoity-toity bullshit game. The politicians to figure out, how do you keep people making the food? How do you keep people going to work to make the food, to keep the basic infrastructure going? I think anyone that makes food, that works in the factories, that makes the things that you need, they should get paid so much. And then those that are innovating, they should give some, obviously, and writing books and doing whatever, they should get some kind of stipend for contributing to the innovation. And those that you know, that are just like kind of like whatever. I mean, that's the thing, is that we all need to find a way to incentivize people to keep working in the areas that we need, and make them reward them astronomically. Because if it wasn't for them making the food and going to work every day making the food, or hauling steel, or, you know, delivering stuff, then we wouldn't have, you know, our lifestyle. But but we have some people that don't do any of that, that just are, you know, smoking pot and that's it, and they're sitting on their couch and talking smack people on Facebook and being a troll. You really think they're contributing? Oh, but they spent so many years doing that. Okay, that's great. So then why don't you go and take your money and go make something better for the world? If you're living on either a pension, or you're getting, you know, disability because you spent a lot of time over here and you put your time in, but you got injured, then stop fucking with people. Go and contribute more to the economy in a different way. Instead of trying to tear down people, but people who have so much time on their hands, they go and tear down other people, because, again, that's our world. And so right now we're in a great reset. They are cleaning out the weak people out there. They are. And so the whole J world is about being sober, not playing into the new age bullshit. It's about feeling everything, releasing the demons, not trying to convert people into a religion or love bomb them to fucking death. Okay? And it's about facing everything that we've ever done to ourselves, to other people, and take accountability. Oh yeah, we're going to see a lot of stuff happening in the economic recess, banks collapsing, whatever, but you can't do anything about it. So you just hold on and just hold on and hope you survive it, and be in the areas that maybe are not as cataclysmic prone. Okay. And so cancer is a new growth, a new energy developing, a fetus. And even though a fetus is something that's in the uterus, you could have a foreign entity develop even outside the uterus. So that's why when people are near high energy and they're not releasing and repairing and eating, then they get this cancer that is metastasizing, yes, taking up resources because you're not releasing the demons and building up your body. And so then they go and get oncology, or get it surgically taken out, or use energy rife machines and chakras and crystals and all the other bullshit, and the person depletes even more. That's why in the New Age world, there's the shamans and the witches and the warlocks and the wizards are still aging out. It's not a coincidence. They all they look cute at one moment, and then they also, over time, they age out. They look like the Crypt Keeper. Or, job with the jellyfish if it comes to that, like, an Ursula, like in Little Mermaid. All right? And so sobriety is when your body's allowed to release when you feel it. That's what sobriety is. You're not trying to stop anything. You're actually feeling it and releasing. You're feeding it, and then you have to rest. If you need to really escape the pain, I go to sleep. And I'm not saying it's a pain, but it's a feeling of anxiety. Like my husband and I were farting over this weekend. We were farting up a storm because the energy was so intense. Our body was moving stuff through. You have to let things move. The reason why people die from cancer, or why people will die from cancer or from heart attacks and strokes, because their body is so sluggish. There's so much crap in their system. They are on low sodium diets. And so when you get an energy frequency, energy shift, and then there's a mass amount of replication, they don't have enough of the ionic energy, and they don't have enough or the strength to be able to handle that energy of stuff being pushed through. And so there's blockage. When there's blockage, then there is not only pain, but there could be death. That we're watching what's called Outlast, and one of the girls in one of those groups, because it was a team of like 4 and they were all competing to outlast each other in the wilderness, she didn't shit for 2 weeks. She did not shit for 2 fucking weeks. Because she's in a different climate. She's not eating a lot because they're all foraging for food and looking for salmon and fishing and hunting and eating berries, right? So she didn't shit for 2 weeks, just like I didn't shit for about a couple of weeks when I was in basic training. Well, towards the end of that thing, or somewhere in the middle, she was in so much pain. Like she was doubled over in her gut because her body was trying to push that poop out of her system, and she couldn't handle the pain, and she could have a perforated intestine because that poop was trying to come out and it was so painful. That's what happens to people. That's why they're in so much pain, because they've stopped their body. They've caused so much upheaval, so much of the climate change, more than their body can handle, like going into a type of competition like Outlast in the middle of the freaking Alaskan wilderness, and their body wasn't prepared for that, and you're not shitting. And then the body wants to finally push everything out, and she was in so much pain. Well, yeah, that's called the body trying to release. And of course, if your intestines are weak and you have hard crap that's so compacted, that's mineralized, because over time your crap will become mineralized if it's not being released and you're not bringing in the necessary fats and the necessary things. Yeah, that's what people have those issues. Constipation, and then perforated intestines. And they haven't trained their intestines to release. That's why you have all this suffering out there, because people are ignoring the indicators. They're stopping their body from releasing. They're under the fucking influence, and they're trolling everyone under their fucking sun. Yeah, we're in the orc zombie apocalypse. We're in the Lord of the Rings. So people think I'm crazy when they say I feel the frequencies. When you're not under the influence, you will feel everything. Okay? When people are under the influence and someone says, yeah, well, I felt this, I felt that, they'll think you're crazy. And you can't convert them to your experience, because if they don't feel it, it's not real to them. Yeah, so I could be under the influence like everybody else and just be like, oh yeah, everything's great, it's fucking Disneyland, and just go and gallivant all over the place and be under the influence until the body can't do it anymore and people just drop over, died suddenly. That's what's going on right now. People are dying suddenly because they don't want to feel shit. And we don't want to feel shit, and the body can't handle it. You don't listen to indicators. You're not releasing the demons. Died suddenly is going to happen just like that. The drugs and the hormonal imbalances have stopped people from feeling stuff. They don't have the indicators you have. And so that's why you don't really interact with people who are against your information, because again, they're under the fucking influence. They don't like you because you feel stuff and you want them to feel stuff, but they don't want to feel stuff, or you said stuff about their lifestyle. They're not going to like you, but that's fine. But when you think about it, you're saving your own life. And then maybe if they actually get out of their own fucking way, they can save their own life. But you're not trying to save them. But I'll tell you, we all do these things. Whatever we do, whatever it is, I don't care what it is, whether you're in the medical system, holistic system, the Jilly Juice world, whatever, we're all trying to save people's lives relative to our perception of what saving lives mean. And so even them, you can't get mad at them, because what they think they're saving people's lives by being in the medical system. Okay? And so you can't really mess with their perception, but you're giving people information to consider. But I'll tell you, you won't survive not feeling shit in this environment. You won't survive being under the influence. You won't survive getting countless surgeries, oncology, and herbs and extracts and all that stuff. You will not survive being under the influence 24/7. But if that's how far gone you are and you have to be, okay, thank you for your service. We appreciate it. This information is not for you. Don't follow me because I don't want you to hate me. But if you already do, it doesn't matter. Okay? And so, the drugs and hormonal imbalances have stopped them from feeling stuff. They don't have the indicators you have. You just thank them for their services and be on your merry way, which is why most of California is under the influence. At this point, with so much innovation, they had to be. And then with the devastation, they will depend upon not feeling something. California is in for some fucking shit. Atmospheric rivers and meters and meters of snow on a population who's only used to a certain amount. It's freaking insane. Can you imagine when you have that much snow on top of your house or on mountains and then everything freezes and then you have this freaking atmospheric river then breaking it up and chipping away at the countryside, chipping away at the mountains. Then you have the mudslides, and then even the houses can't handle that kind of fluctuation between temperatures and climates, aggressive climate fluctuations. I mean, that's what's going on right now. California is being chipped away. 39 million people don't really realize this is what's going on, but they do and they don't. They're deer in headlights. You can't take 39 million people and migrate them all the way in the middle of the U.S. It's not going to fucking happen. So they have to be under the influence. They have to be. I understand. I get it. And so anything with this whole thing with the debt stuff, like I said, I'd rather be in debt with student loans than be in debt where I destroyed, a whole block because of a drunk driving situation. I'd rather be in debt with student loans than be in debt of a manslaughter because of a drunk driving situation or from a drug situation. Okay, so I don't want to hear anyone talk about, student loan debt as something horrible, that they're draining the economy and we're all going to pay it back in taxes. Both, everything happen, that can appear and disappear just like that. I mean, when you have CEOs that pull out of a company, pull all their money out of a company before the company collapses, then all this shit's contrived. Everything is contrived. Nothing is organic when you think about it. People will give you money and make money easy, accessibly easy, and people will take it away based upon the needs of our society. That's what's been going on for the last 30 years. I've lived through it. Let me read what I wrote the other day. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's pretty crazy when you actually look back. Like, I remember every single time looking for a job during the downturn of every economy. And they're like, well, why do you keep changing jobs? Because I'm learning stuff. I have PMDD. The economy keeps fucking changing. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. And I didn't get a college degree. And so it wasn't like I was going to be, geared into something. I was doing everything based upon, I was reacting to my environment. Okay, let me see if I can find that. Okay, I will find it. Debt. Okay, living through debt. Or living through these different periods. Okay. So if you learn anything from this post, which has that orc on there, know when to walk away from anything that is taking more resources than giving. Okay, sometimes you may have to cut down the hours at work so you can recoup what has been lost. Reliability and dependability is going to be paramount in this new economy. Crazy risk-taking and huge gamble is not the place to do it now. I'm telling you, now is the time to be conservative. Okay, if you don't want to feel pain, you will take the magnesium, you will take all the vitamin A, B, C, D, E, and F, and G because they're telling you, oh, it's going to do this, do that. So you'll compartmentalize the vitamins and the minerals and take them because you don't want to feel pain and cause the body to go into antibiotic and not feel stuff and then pass away. Okay. So if you don't want to take the risk of feeling stuff and you think it's going to be deadly to you, then you will go with what is known to you, which is all the holistic stuff, all the allopathic stuff, the surgeries, all the supplements, the Rife machines, everything. Okay. So if you're not really into taking a gamble, don't do the J world. Do not do the J world. What do you mean take a gamble? Because you're going to have to feel stuff. You have to feed it. You have to actually change your life and lifestyle and belief system. And so if you're so used to not feeling pain and you don't want to feel pain, do not do the J world. Don't even pretend to do the J world. It's not for you. Okay? But if you already suffered so much in your life and you're okay with feeling pain and you know how to feed it, you understand my information, you get where I'm coming from, then don't risk taking the newest drug on the market. Don't risk going and get that surgery. Because you don't need to risk. You don't need to gamble. You already know where that's going to end up in the morgue at some point, and or be in astronomical pain later on when the drugs wear off. Okay, so you will risk based upon what you're willing to deal with. But again, if you're not used to feeling pain, don't even be part of the J world. Just do not. Okay. All right. So crazy risk taking and huge gambles are not the place to do it now, because if you're not set up for it, you're not. It'll work against you. Okay. You have to actually strategically set yourself up for the J world, and if you're not, don't do it. So I've been around the times when the money was basically free. Then trying to get innovation out of people. They're trying to get innovation out of people when you give away money for basically free. And that's what's going on with all the startups, evaluating companies to be higher than what they are, getting low interest rate loans, like really low interest rate loans. We get 4%, 2%. Now it's like 10%. Getting loans is expensive nowadays. And then when you're getting locked into that, because interest rates are not going to go down, now that's where you're going to be at. But if you got a little bit of return, you took care of some stuff because of that, that's great. But nowadays, getting out loans and buying houses and all that stuff at these interest rates, it's expensive. Now it's time to be conservative. Build where you are. Reinforce your house. I mean, when my husband and I were house hunting a couple months ago, and we went to this one community, and it was a nice little insulated community. It was like a lake, and it was a gated community. And the guy that used to own this house that we were looking at, he moved to some other place, like maybe 5 houses away, right? But that house that he left for it to be sold was so fucking damaged. Like, I'm serious. There was holes in the wall. There was nothing updated. There was like, the floorboard, the baseboards were peeling away. There's paint. There was like a big sinking of the roof, and there was water damage. And I'm like, fucking person. So he had enough money to not fix his shit up, but he had enough money to go and move somewhere else and leave that piece of garbage house for somebody else to go and fix. That's the world of consumerism. That's the world of using shit up, destroying it, and then saying, okay, it's worth $200,000 because of the location, but here, this is all the damage I did to it. This is what I let my kids do to it. This is what I did. This is what he didn't want to deal with as far as taking care of his own freaking home. Yeah, he had enough money to go and move, but that's the thing. That's a disposable society. When they go and use something up, a person places a thing or a house, and then they don't want to fix it and take care of it and maintain it. No, they got to go and fucking move and go get something new to go and destroy. That's our society. That's the mentality that they're trying to get away from. Those that don't give a shit about where they live, they always have to go and move somewhere to go somewhere better because they don't want to take care of what they have now. And so I was disgusted, and I knew, when I saw who used to live there, and then the guy lived somewhere else in the same freaking area, I wouldn't want to meet that guy and be like, wow, your house is disgusting. Your house that you left behind was disgusting. You think someone really don't buy that? So someone did, I think, buy it from another state, and they don't realize they didn't know what they were going into, but it was horrible. I'm like, Jason, we're not fucking house hunting. Come on, we're gonna stay where we are. This is freaking insane. And the way things are, it's not time to do any kind of risk unless you're changing locations because you're in a cataclysmic area. That's the only reason why you would move. But doing lateral moves just so what? No, my area is relatively okay. It really is. I mean, anywhere you go is going to have issues, but the devil you know versus the devil you don't. And I'm not in the coast, and I'm not somewhere, like California or New York or or Florida. So I'm fine where I'm at. There's no reason for me to really move in Ohio. I'm not in Southern Ohio. If I was in Southern Ohio, I'd move to Northern Ohio. That's no doubt about that. I would not live in Southern Ohio because of all the freaking tornadoes. Okay? So just that's like another example of people just using shit up and then discarding it and not maintaining it and then leaving it for somebody else to go and leave it to be a headache for somebody else. I don't like that mentality. I really don't. It's a shitty ass mentality. That's why our society is so fucked, because we have people like that. Okay? And so, when money is free, people will do stuff. There's a lot of innovation, a lot of abuse. Yeah, you'll have a lot of drug addicts. You'll have so many new startups, and it could be a cartel. It could be a new innovative drug. I mean, it could be so many things when you have access to that much money. And then when the feds hold the money back and make money expensive, then people suffer because they're like, oh, they're so used to having free money and free this and free that, right? And not anymore. Now it's now time to tighten up. Time to now take care of your shit, literally. Time to be conservative about everything that you're doing. Because now we're in an economic downturn. Just like it happened in 2008. And just like it happened in the, well, 2008 was after the whole tech bubble and the mortgage boom. So yeah, we were all having fun in the early 2000s, right? With the tech boom. I mean, things were so expensive. Then 9/11 happened. Things got kind of crazy again, right? Because I remember being like in 2000, right before George Bush was, that's right, was, because I remember my roommate, and when George Bush got in office, George Bush Jr., people were like, oh, here we go. And we're all left wing, right? It was in Walnut Creek, California. I remember being over there in Lincoln Avenue, in Walnut Creek, in those little apartments. And when my roommate's friend was saying, oh shit, George Bush is in office, we're in for some shit. Well, they weren't wrong. And then 9/11 happened. And then after that, then, and so there was that little downturn because of 9/11 in 2001. And then after that, then you had the free money of the mortgage stuff. I was getting, I had a few credit cards. I was trying to get into the insurance world. The district managers were recruiting all over the place to bring up policies. I remember when I was doing all the cold calling in the insurance world, and I was trying to get an agency, but I didn't have the business background to really build up an agency. So all I was doing was making cold calls, bringing in the 30 policies that was under, my little program, the program that was meant, that was for all the new recruits. So you get 30 auto and home and 4 life policies. And so I was door knocking, and that was when, at that time, in 2008, 2007, 2008, 2006, 2007, 2008, that was when the mortgage thing started blowing up, and that's when Countrywide and all of that. And then when that happened, then we had trouble bringing in policies because there was these rows and rows of houses out there in Elk Grove. People were upside down in. They were losing accounts. They were losing, their clientele because they were upside down in their homes. And so then we would go into a Countrywide office, and there was rows and rows and rows of desks. They were churning and burning back then, and they all disbanded. And there was all these, they had all this office equipment that we were able to go and take for our own agency, right? But the district managers were recruiting like crazy. And so every single policy that I brought in, I didn't keep for myself because I didn't make it to the program. And so I figured out how, instead of me building up an agency, I just cold called for other agents and built up their book of business. And then the policies that I brought in, they were then redistributed to all the senior agents that were already well established. So that was the start of the MLMs. That's what I'm saying, the MLMs and all of that, and then the Melaleuca and the prepaid legal and all. Then so you're seeing that was the downturn, then the upturn. And so they were riding high for many years, right? And then you had the easy access to money and all that. And so then there's that economic downturn of the mortgage crisis. And then after that, that's 2008, right? Then they have 2009, 2010, 12, and then and so then that was a kickoff of then now what's going on. So you see, so seasoned in the upturns and the downturns of the economy. Now you see in the pattern, we're in the downturn. Now it's time to be conservative. Now they're really purging out all the weak people out there. Literally, they're purging out the weak people. And you have to figure out who's weak and who's strong. And you can't convert someone who's weak to being strong. They have to do it themselves. Okay? So now you see what they're doing the last 20, 30 years. It was all contrived. The feds are the ones that pull the strings. And people are like, oh yeah, and the Fed. No, because they're the ones that develop your world. And they're the one that can take away if you don't know how to take care of your world. If you're if you're a disposable person and you live a disposable lifestyle, you're going to be disposable yourself. You're the one that has to determine your worth. I'm sustainable. So we're now heading towards a sustainable world. The green machine. And those that are disposable, that have a disposable lifestyle, that were used as disposable, but they're used as to innovate, to prop up everything that needed to be propped up during that time of innovation. Well, we don't need that innovation anymore. That's done with. That's going to the wayside. Now it's about sustainable. And many people out there are not going to really understand sustainability. They will live their disposable lifestyle until their body and their mind and their spirit cannot handle that lifestyle anymore. Okay? And so living through all these different times, and now that I have clarity of thought, I'm not suffering from any kind of cancer, disease, and chronic illness where I'm just so focused on my diseases. I could look back and see the patterns. I can look back and see what I was like and what I was doing and so innovation. So when people are like, oh yeah, the free money, yeah, the free money was there for the taking to see if you can do something with it. That's why, why SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, and the venture capital bank, all these different banks are there to just give money to those that had ideas, because maybe they can turn into something amazing and push society forward. Okay, now that's done with. Now we have all the things that we need according to the Rosicrucians, and now it's time for a scale down. Now it's up to you to survive it. That's really what it comes down to. And so I'm on here all the time so you understand that you can survive the fluctuations. That yes, you will be energetic one day because the frequencies are insane, or you'll feel pain, excessive amounts of pain one day, but then you'll feed it, you'll rest, you'll do what you got to do, release the demons. The next day might be a little bit, whatever, but then the next day after that, not so bad. You'll have a little bit of respite. You'll enjoy. This is a time where you enjoy that you paid your dues the last 3 freaking days. So you have 3 days of releasing the demons and feeling stuff, and 1 day of like, oh wow, this feels great. That's the world you got to live in now. And that's where you have to earn your feeling relatively equal, like relative equilibrium. You don't want to be completely equilibrium because that means that you're dead. But you have to fluctuate with this environment, especially right now. Because if you don't and you keep resisting it, you'll end up in the morgue sooner than later. Okay? And so, yeah, I had to get out of California. I milked California for everything I could based upon my abilities. And then I had to get the hell out. I had to get out of California. It was like, there was no way I was going to stay there no. I had to come to Ohio and chill the fuck out for a minute and recalibrate. People who are under the influence don't understand that. People who are under the influence will want to work so hard until they fucking die. Hey, I don't mind hard work. Hard work is great, but don't do it at the detriment of yourself. Don't do it at the detriment of your family, because you're not replaceable. Your family isn't replaceable. And so you have to find a way to figure out how to save yourself and still contribute to the world, because there's ways to contribute to the world. Okay? And you'll do it in your capacity. There's people out there that are living in relatively okay climates, and they have access to innovation, and they're innovating and they're keeping the infrastructure going. And so when you look at like Austin, Texas, and different places that are more inland, when you look at that map and you look at where Tesla moved to, you'll see that there'll be places where the people who are innovating, who are influencing, innovating, even the factories and areas that are like Ohio factories here, we have people are built like brick shit houses because they can handle it. So that's why there's factories here, right? Because we have strong people that can go and move steel. We have strong people that can go and play with those equipments, and then hopefully they don't pass away from any kind of accidents. But that's the thing. Here in Ohio, there's a reason why we have strong people with factories and doing steel stuff and trucking and all that. But then you go to Austin, then you have the mechanical stuff. You have like some of the tech industry over there in Austin, because it's a relatively temperate climate. People are moving from California because California is going into the fucking ocean. That's why they're moving. That's why they're methodically moving companies. Now you see there's some biotech companies that are still like operating like I forget the name of it, but they're in Berkeley and they're making lab grown meat. But you can take that kind of factory stuff and replicate it somewhere else. So just because there's still viable huge companies in the Bay Area doesn't mean that eventually they're going to have to migrate away from California, and go somewhere where it's going to be better. And they're probably even modeling those factories in other places like maybe Portugal or Europe. Okay, the U.S. isn't the only place where innovation can happen. This was the petri dish. This was the experiment. We are the last greatest experiment in America. Now we're watching the Hunger Games. Now they're saying, okay, which region's going to freaking outlast each other? We're in like that reality show Outlast. Okay? We're in the Hunger Games. You are in a competition. Now we'll see who the strongest man is. California, Ohio, New York, Florida, the Midwest, Oklahoma, and also your lifestyle and belief system. And your politics, religion, and science. We'll see which one's going to outlast. When you give up all of them, you realize that you can't live in any of those. You got to now freaking take care of yourself. You could be anywhere and realize, okay, I'm in a really bad area. I'm going to go move over here and be representation of your own team. And it could be you could be a one-man team versus a 50 million man team over there that are going to cannibalize each other. Okay, so you are in the Hunger Games. You are in these reality shows of Outlast. Now you just got to figure out your game plan. And it's pretty crazy once you figure out what's going on. So anyways, all I got to say is that, yeah, we're in the Rise of the Orcs. We're in the Lord of the Rings. And you're going to see all this crazy zombie apocalypse. The energy is going to bring up people running through your yard, running from the police. That was the first time that happened in the few years that I've been here. Some kid running through my yard, and then you see the police coming afterward with their spotlight looking in between the houses, see if they can see feet. I'm like, oh God, Jason. I'm like, whatever. That doesn't happen very often. Does not happen very often. And actually, there is a drug house on my street, and I've seen police there. But the police know my street. The FBI has been here. Shit, I live next door to a place where it burned down because someone had a drug bin and sex offenders were right next door. That's why the person moved out of this place. But that house has been demolished. But the FBI know where I'm at. They know that. Actually, like I said, the FBI was coming by because they were talking about something. They were trying to figure something out with that house next door. Of course, we weren't here when that was going on, so we had nothing to offer them. Not that we would, really, because I mind my own business. But it was the same FBI agent that I met with when I was reporting death threats. And so that's how small this world is. Okay? And so my little street, I like my little street. Law enforcement knows who I am. You know, I mind my own business. I don't mess with anybody. They don't really mess with me. And I can't ask for anything more. And that's the thing. Just keep your nose clean, mind your own business, take care of you. Don't try to save anyone else. Don't try to turn anyone else in. Just mind your own fucking business. You'll be so much happier, more peaceful if you take care of yourself. You have the means to with the J world. But if that's not your forte, you'll be in somebody else's business 24/7 until you're done with. That's the difference between sustainability and disposability. Sustainability, people mind their own business. Disposable people will be in everybody else's business. All right, bye.